folks, Captain Mike here from Hogy Lure Company. I just wanted to take a minute to recap an episode we filmed with Salty Cape TV where we were jigging for yellowfin tuna south of Martha's Vineyard in some blue water we found. Now my go-to tuna jig when sand eels are abundant is the Hogy sand eel jig. Now the size and profile of this lure are second to none in terms of imitating large oceanic sand eels found here offshore on Cape Cod. On this particular day, we fished a few different sizes. When the tide was slack and the current was a bit slower, the 8.5 ounce was perfect for getting down to the strike zone. But as soon as that tide got honking and the wind picked up just a little bit, we bumped up to the 12 ounce size to maintain the amount of scope in our lines while jigging. Now, just as an aside, I tend to like to jig with lures that are just light enough and just heavy enough to get where I'm going. The lighter the jig, the more action it's going to have. So you want to go with the least amount of weight that you can get away with, just in terms of peak action. But you got to do what you got to do. Now, the color we were using was the olive sand eel color. And I don't really need to say much more about the imitative patterns of olive and silver when imitating sand eels, but matching the hatch in clear water like today is often the go-to. Now there are times when the fish shut down and you want to use a contrasting color like a high-viz green or a hot pink, and those colors are what I call attractor colors. But today they wanted the real deal, and that was the olive colored sand eel. So let's talk about retrieves. Now, your retrieve speed sometimes really doesn't matter, other times it really does. And the beauty of the Hogy sand eel jig is you can fish them fast and slow. We had 2 anglers today. And what I really like about having multiple anglers fishing at the same time is the ability to dial in what the most effective reel retrieve speed is or action. Now, I started out with a slow retrieve, simply lifting my jig up a few feet, then drop it. Just a real slow, almost like a slow pitch style jig, but just up and up, looks to an outside angler like I'm ground fishing. Jack, on the other hand, was fishing fast, what I would call a speed or fast jigging method. So he was sending it down to the bottom and bringing it up fast, lots of action. Now, there are pluses and minuses to each jigging method. Now, the slow and low method, where you're pinpointed to a specific depth. So if the fish are hanging in a specific zone, that slow retrieve can be good because the whole time you're jigging, your lure's in the strike zone. Other situations, like we found out today, fish were sort of all over the water column and you may not know where they're hanging. So the speed jigging technique is great where you can cover a lot of ground. That jig's moving 50, 60 feet in a rise and drop and it's fishing fast. And sometimes that speed can trigger what I call a reaction strike. So the fish are being lethargic. Sometimes having a jig fleeing out of their field of view will trigger that reaction strike. And so there is a method to the madness in terms of your jigging speed. Again, just to recap, slow and low, you're pinpointing a specific depth and you're fishing a highly imitative presentation. The speed jigging, you're covering lots of ground and you're triggering the reaction strike. Now here's the outfit we're using today. This is the Hogy System tuna jigging rod, the spinning outfit. Now I tend to prefer vertical jigging for tuna with a spinning outfit. It's a little easier to work with in terms of imparting different rigging actions. If I'm fishing it slow, I'm using my strong arm to hold the rod. If I'm fishing it fast, I'm using my strong arm to hold the rod. So it's just more ergonomic for me. I'm righty, so I'm using my strong arm to work the rod, and my left hand is more of a reel collector. So I tend to find I burn out much less quickly with a spinning outfit. Now the Hogy, any of the rods in the Hogy Tuna System platform are what I would call a moderate action, and that's what I would call, in other words, a parabolic bend. So it's very forgiving. So if you're vertical jigging for tuna and you get an aggressive strike, that soft, moderate action of the rod, this is a heavy duty outfit and can handle heavy lures, but I'm I'm talking about the bend profile of the rod. So if you get a strong hit, the whole rod will flex and sort of serve as a shock absorber for the fish. So you miss fewer fish, in my opinion, with a softer rod. Certainly more comfortable to work on. You get a big fish held down, so the whole rod's going to bend. You get different rod positions. It's very forgiving. Now, if you have an inexperienced angler on the boat, you know, the boat's rocking, that rod will flex with the boat motions, and you'll get less slack line when you're, you know, fighting the fish. Now, like all things that I love, this is a very simple outfit. It's got the old school cork grip, the carbon fiber blank, heavy duty aluminum seat, just a well-built, simple rod designed to get the job done. Now for jigging, I like a 20,000 class reel. Here I have the Shimano Stella, again the 20,000 size. I have it spooled with a 100-pound test hollow core and a 100-pound test fluoro wind-on leader, connected with a split ring connection to this sandeel jig. We used a bunch of different sizes today. This outfit you can jig lures up to 16 ounces, but you know the jigs today range from 8.5 to 12 ounces, and rod did fine. Nice, easy rod to fish, and yeah, there's really not a whole lot else you can say about a simple, durable outfit. Again, what I like most about this outfit is that soft, parabolic action, very forgiving, just a pleasure to fish with. So let's talk about fish care for a minute. Now, we've kept a couple fish. These are smaller fish, and we have our short-term fish needs covered. So we're gonna release the majority of the fish we catch today. And so I just want to take a minute to talk about, you know, a nice healthy release with the tuna. So the upside to fishing with a vertical jig like the Hogy sand eel jig is it just has a nice simple single hook configuration. So I'm going to put the boat at idle speed with this fish and hang on to the line, and that's going to allow me to swim the fish, keeping it in a horizontal direction. And with the boat at idle speed, that's going to force water through the yellowfin's gills, or any fish for that matter. And I'm going to look for the fish to start recuperating, and you'll see signs, you know, the color starts coming back, the pectoral fins start spiking, even some action with the dorsal fin. And that's when I know the fish is fully revived. Now, why am I doing this? Sometimes these fish get so tired they can't get enough swimming speed to run enough water through their gills to get their oxygen levels back up. So we're basically helping them just take a little break from the energy of swimming to get their oxygen back. So it's a nice thing to do to ensure survivability of your release. So today we have the Hogy dehooker with us. Now it's a very simple design, very old school design, frankly. And what I like about this dehooker is its simplicity. So this fish is revived, we've swam it alongside. So what I'm gonna do is just with the bend in the dehooker, I'm gonna grab the bend of the hook with the bend of the dehooker, change the angle with the line hand, pushing my line hand toward the water. In my dehooker, I'm gonna pull back toward the sky, and that hook will exit the exact same hole that it created, and off the tuna will go. So we found the fish, and so the next step is maximizing the opportunity that we found. And so every fish we hook up, I'm going to hit my GPS screen and mark that spot and pay attention to everything. Now, over time, I noticed that once we drifted 1.5 miles away from our first fish, the bites would slow down. And whenever that happens, I always go back to the scene of the crime. Now, often, like today, it works, but not always. But it's still a good next step whenever the fishing just slows down a bit. And if it does slow down, just like our strategy in terms of finding the fish, you look at tide direction, wind direction. More times than not, if you follow the water, you'll find the fish.